What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisor.com bringing home the bacon NFL DFS video Week 15 top stacks that we like. We're going to go over our top 5 stacks of Week 15. We're going to dig into the numbers a little bit. We're going to use our matchup tool, and hopefully we're going to have a little fun with it. So, if you've never been to the channel before, welcome to the channel. We are very excited to have you here, and we have giveaways every single video that we possibly can. So here's how to win a giveaway here. There are 2 different ways. First way, like this video, be a subscriber to this YouTube channel, and leave a comment for next week's video for the comment picker to pick it up. If this video gets at least 50 likes, you have a chance to win a free week of FTA+. That is a week of all sports that are current. If the video gets at least 100 likes, you have a chance at a free month of FTA+. 150 likes, a chance at a free yearly pass. 200 or more likes in the video, a chance at a lifetime pass. Second way to win in this video, this YouTube channel right here, history of, subscribe to this channel. Go watch all the videos, hopefully into their entirety, so you help the algorithm. But every 50 YouTube subscribers to this channel, we're going to give away a free week or free month of FTA+, which is a $30 value. The link will be down below to sign up, but check it out. We are very excited about it. And how we're using the stacks and how we're looking into them, we're using our matchup tool. So as you can see with the matchup tool, these are the defenses, these are the stats through the weeks, these are the red zone ranks, these are what they've given up to the quarterback, rushing, fantasy points allowed by position, whether or not you're playing on DraftKings or Fanduel, we've got it there. Then we've got their matchup here and what team to target, so then you know which players to target. So we're going to use that. I'm going to move that to the other screen just so I can see it. Do not forget to check out It's the History Of. But you can check out everything else. FTA Plus is $10 for a week, $30 for a month. But if you use the promo code Black Friday, all one word, all capital letters, your first month will be for $15. All you got to do, use Black Friday. A yearly pass, normally $199. We have still coupon codes left. If you use the promo code NBA is back, all one word, all capital letters, you can get that $199 pass for $74.99. So that being said, we are going to start building out the stacks. We're going to start with stack number 5. So looking at this, they are actually favored for the first time, I think, all year. Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers going up against Dallas's defense. Now we look at this. If we look at the team total, current right now, as of Friday, Carolina has an implied team total of 22.25. The over-under of the game is 43, and Carolina is a 2.5-point favorite. Now, I know Cowboys, their defense has been okay recently, a little bit. So if we look at that, Cowboys defense, they're very cheap, very, very cheap. You can see, I mean, against Cincy, nothing. But then against the Giants and Washington, they had really good games. They had really, defensive touchdowns, a little bit different than what we're used to. But 10 interceptions, fumble recovers, 36 sacks, 4 defensive touchdowns. Far cry from what we saw in weeks, basically last year and the past couple of years. So, looking at this Bryce Young here, and we're using the matchup tool that we are talking about, we are looking at this as kind of crazy stuff. But kind of looking at this, the Dallas defense against the opposing quarterbacks, they are ranked 27th, giving up an average of 22 fantasy points on DraftKings, 21.8 fantasy points on FanDuel. This screams Bryce Young for me 100%. Now, who do we stack with? Some people, just wide receivers, but we look at it all. So I am stacking Bryce Young with Adam Thielen. We look at Adam Thielen against Dallas defense. Their secondaries, they rank 22nd against the wide receiver. Looking at that, they are giving up an average 35.6 fantasy points per game on DraftKings, 29.3 on FanDuel. So I am looking at Bryce Young to Adam Thielen. And then I'm looking at Chuba Hubbard. So if we're looking at Hubbard, currently if you look at our simulations under the NFL tab, the simulations and everything that we've got here, Chuba Hubbard is the highest owned running back this year, or for this week anyway. So we're looking at Dallas's defense against the running back. They rank 26th. They're giving up an average of 25.8. we look into this game. I absolutely love this game here. So you can see Hubbard is the most expensive at $6,500, but that price is a perfect price there. You got Adam Thielen at $5,400. So if we put Chuba Hubbard, we put Thielen, and we put Bryce Young together, we're still getting an average of $5,400. Then you go through and you look at a defense. Maybe you want to look at the Ravens defense, they have a 16.5 point spread. So if you look at that, you were still averaging $5,700 the rest of the way. So that is a perfect little stack for number 5. I think it'll go under owned. I think other people will be on different stacks, and we will definitely talk about that. So our number 5, Carolina Panthers. And you can also go, if you want to go, instead of, you could go Leggett. It hasn't really done as much as Thielen, though. And dude's eating raccoon. If you haven't seen that, he was on the St. Brown's, Amon-Ra and Equanimous. I can't remember what their podcast is called. But he was on there just talking about a bunch of stuff, and they were just floored. They had no idea. You could look at David Moore. Didn't do anything, 25 yards. So I am looking at Thielen, Hubbard, and Bryce Young as my stack number 5. Number 4, Jaden Daniels versus New Orleans Saints. Saints are ranked 15th against the quarterback. If we look at this for New Orleans, right in the middle, basically, giving up an average of 17.3 fantasy points per game on DraftKings, 17.2 on Fanduel. But we look at this right here, Washington, Jaden Daniels. Put him in there. He's averaging 20.8 fantasy points per game, coming off a fantastic game against Tennessee, 28.64, followed by 32.4 against a Dallas defense. So we look at that. Obviously, he's let us down a ton, but Terry McLaurin, F1 McLaurin, I am putting him in there. He's back-to-back good games, which means he's going to have a 2-burger for me, because I've used him when... I will never forget when he had 2 touchdowns and 19 yards here, or 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, 19 yards, and I had him for 50 yards. Just 50 yards. But anyway, I like Terry McLaurin here. I'm going to add him there. Then we look at Brian Robinson Jr. So we look at Brian Robinson Jr. coming in against New Orleans. 20.9 against Tennessee. Had a fantastic game in that game. Obviously missed some time with an injury, but has been back the last 3 weeks, coming off the bye in week 14. So we look at Brian Robinson against New Orleans. New Orleans against the run, they ranked 27th, giving up an average of 25.9 fantasy points on DraftKings, 23.9 fantasy points on FanDuel. You had him in there, and we are looking at about 4,800 there. So again, you could go the Ravens defense. You could figure out a different defense that maybe you like better. But the Ravens are my number 1 defense this week. So you're still looking at 5,000 there. You're always going to find a little bit of value, such as if Kamara somehow is banged up and is out, you obviously are going to bump up there. If Tony Pollard is there, I think he'll play. If not, you got Tyjae Spears you could look at. There are just different directions you could go. Obviously, Kenneth Walker is out. You got Zach Charbonnet, who's down there at 6,000. A lot of different directions to go. So our number 4 stack, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson, and Terry McLaurin. Now, you could go different directions. You could go Zach Ertz as well, being in there. But again, he's decent. Those last 3 games, he's had a touchdown in the last 3 games. So if you were to look at this one and you wanted to see how they stack up, New Orleans against the tight end stacks up. They're ranked 13th, give up 11.2 fantasy points per game. So if you don't want to put Robinson in there and you want to go McLaurin and Ertz, I am completely okay with that as well. So our number 4 stack, McLaurin, Jaden Daniels for sure, Brian Robinson, or you could go a little bit of Zach Ertz, feel a little bit comfortable with that. So our number 3 stack, it was going to be Josh Allen, because they have the highest over-under against Detroit, 54.5. My problem is Detroit most likely will be able to run the hell out of the ball. Bills have given up a ton against the run. And I looked at that, and then in my mind, first off, Josh Allen could throw it to Shakir or Knox or whoever, tight end or whatever pass catcher, Mac Hollins. He's got so many options, but he could also run the ball. So if you stack, I do like Josh Allen as a naked option here where we just throw him out as quarterback. But I think Detroit, they've got the ability to run the hell out of the ball in this game and chew the clock enough where I don't know paying up for Josh Allen makes the most sense here. So if you look at quarterback and you look at that, he's 8,500. scared about that a little bit. But again, we know that he's an absolute stud. So he's in the back of my mind. If you don't want to stack with the Bills, I don't mind Josh Allen as your quarterback by itself. But we are going to go with our number 3 stack, Lamar Jackson versus New York Jets. So they are, or New York Giants. They are huge favorites, 16.5. I want to see if it's still 16.5. It is still 16.5, which is a wild number. Absolutely wild number. So Lamar Jackson. Now, if you look at Lamar Jackson's numbers, and we can dig in just a little bit, 25, 22, 15, 32, 23. But over the last couple of seasons, coming off of a bye, he is averaging. So he's averaging 26 fantasy points per game. Coming off of a bye just himself, he's averaging like 26 fantasy points himself just off of a bye. Now, they had that week to go off there. We understand that. We look at this, the New York Giants, if they get up so big, being in the playoff hunt, I don't know if Derrick Henry gets, I don't know if he's going to play as much. So I'm still going to use him, but I've got Lamar Jackson here. He's very expensive. But we look at this. The Giants are number 12th against the quarterback. So they're actually been pretty decent against the quarterback. But if we look at the New York Giants, they give up an average of 17 fantasy points per game, 334 rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks, and 4 rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks. So we know that Lamar is a quarterback, but he's also one hell of a running back as well. So if you put that in your mind as well, running the ball, the Giants against the running back, they rank 29th out of 32. So they give up a ton of the great, like just a ton there. Whether or not it's to the running back, to a quarterback, or a running quarterback, I absolutely love Lamar Jackson. I absolutely love Derrick Henry in this as well. I think he's able to feast in this one. I like both of them. Dump off passes, I think both of them hit very well. Then it comes down to who do you think they're going to throw it to? Is it going to be Zay Flowers or is it going to be Mark Andrews? So if we look at the wide receiver, the New York Giants against the opposing wide receiver, they rank 7th, so they're pretty good. They still go up an average of 30.1 fantasy points per game on DraftKings, 24.6 on Fanduel. So there's the pricing, or there's the scoring difference there. So if we look at this, and we are looking at Baltimore here, Zay Flowers is averaging 14.4. Bateman has been, he's had those games where Zay Flowers has been down, but then Bateman's also got these 0 games, 5 games. He had the 54 with a touchdown. He had 1 touchdown there. He has vultured. Coming off the bye, I think they want to get everyone in the great mind space to win this game, headed towards the playoffs in the near future. Zay Flowers makes a ton of sense. Or you could go with Mark Andrews. Now, Isaiah Likely is there. I completely get that. So Mark Andrews, in this matchup, the Giants rank 3rd against the tight end, so they're pretty good. So the tight end 1, Mark Andrews might be down, but maybe Isaiah Likely at 3,600 since they're kind of close where they're at. But yeah, they're very good against the tight end. Now, that doesn't always mean everything. That doesn't mean pause, let's not use it. Just be careful with this one. I think I'd rather go with this Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, and even a Baltimore defense here because they're my number 1 defense this week. And again, we will break it down. If you have not already, make sure you check out the other videos because we're going to break down the main slate using our top 10s at each position. Then we're going to build lineups that way as well. So stick around because that, maybe by the time you watch this video, that video will already be out there on the interwebs. We're also going to have a Monday Night Football breakdown and a Sunday Night Football breakdown for you guys. So we're very excited to be able to bring you all this stuff. And by we, I mean me because it's just me. But I do like Baltimore. If you want to go a full Baltimore stack there, I do not mind that whatsoever. They are in a fantastic spot. I think if you don't want to put Lamar with a pass catcher, which I think you need to, still put him with Derrick Henry and their defense. So number 3 was Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2 that I've got going on right now, I've got Joe Burrow here. Let's see, where is Mr. Burrow and the Bengals? Right here. There is some rain, so this is definitely something we kind of look at that. We see this. Joe Burrow questionable, he'll play. There's no way he doesn't play against Tennessee, right? Yeah, it doesn't have it. Oh, so they haven't even updated it yet. Does not have a designation, so that'll be updated. And we look at his numbers. We look at the games he's been doing. 28.56, 25.26, 32, 36, 30. He is good. We lost some games, because their defense is so bad. So I do like Joe Burrow. I'm going to put him in there. He's 7,300. You're going to save a little bit of money. If you look at this, implied team total for Cincinnati, 25 points. Over-under is 46.5. Cincinnati currently minus 5-point favorites here. So Joe Burrow makes, number one, what I'm looking at. I don't think you get away from putting Jamar Chase in there. I mean, the Bengals really screwed up not paying this dude. Should have paid him. Should have paid him before the season because all he's done is absolutely dominated. 93, under 100 receptions, over 1,300 yards. He's averaging 101 yards per game, 15 touchdowns, averaging 25.3 fantasy points per game. Another huge day there. 177, 86, 75, 264. He does some rushing as well. He's coming off huge games. I absolutely love this matchup for him. If we look at this, Tennessee against the wide receiver. They rank 4, so they're pretty good. I don't care about that. I know their secondary is good. I do not care. Jamar Chase is unbelievable, and you can't defend him. They're going to dump him off passes as much as humanly possible. They want to win this game. They want to show people that they are a good team. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, make a ton of sense to me. And the third one, if you do want to go with a running back, again, T. Higgins is there. He's averaging 17 points per game. Yoshevich is there, not really. And then the tight end's really up in the air there. But what I would go with is Chase Brown at 7,200. So we look at Chase Brown at 7,200 against the wide receiver, or against the defense of Tennessee. Tennessee against the running back. They rank 15th, so they're in the middle. They're giving up an average of 22.9 fantasy points per game on DraftKings, 21.1 on Fanduel. So we look at that. On top of that, I love this matchup here. Now we're at 4,500. You can add the Ravens defense in there. Second defense I like, or the Vikings against the Bears. Third defense, the Chiefs against Cleveland. Whichever direction you want to go on that. So my third stack here, Burrow, Brown, and Chase. Sounds like bankers or lawyers. The law offices of Burrow, Brown, and Chase. So we look at this. I like this Cincinnati stack here for my number 2 stack. So I'm going to completely go with that one. Number 2, 4,500 the rest of the way. Build your lineup through there. If you want to check out how else we want to do it, check out the breakdown video that we will put out for the main slate coming up. Or maybe it's already out, depending on where you're at. And our number one stack for Week 15, Jared Goff and the Lions versus Josh Allen and the Bills. So we look at this one. Currently, implied team total 27.99 for the Lions. Over-under is 54.5. Detroit is only a 2.5-point favorite. Hopefully this game stays close enough, or if somehow the Bills go up big and Jared Goff has to just sling it, I am 100% okay with that as well. It's in the afternoon. It's an afternoon game. Be part of the afternoon slate. We got 5 games on that afternoon slate. A lot of games for afternoons, and we do have these lineups here. So if you go to fantasyteamadvisors.com, NFL tab, cheat sheet, it is on the cheat sheet. We have lineup stacks. We have all of that there. So we'll have these stacks. We'll have more stacks on there as well. So we look at Jared Goff, 6,500. He's got 3,200 yards and a QBR of 109.1. Going up against the Bills. So the Bills' defense have been pretty good against the opposing quarterback. This is true. So we look at this. Buffalo against the opposing quarterback ranked 5th. Only give up an average of 15.4, but he is averaging a little bit more than that. Problem is he does have some interceptions. Half of his interceptions did come in one game, though. So be that as it may. I'm putting him in there. He's 6,500. So if you look at his price compared to everybody else, you were saving $2,000 from Allen. You were right there. I mean, people are going to be on Jackson. People are going to be on Hurts and Daniels, Burrow, Mahomes. Darnold is above him. So Jared Goff is right here. I love this matchup for Jared Goff. We're going to put Jared Goff in here. Now, the problem is, where are we going to go with the running back situation? But depending on which one you go with, the Buffalo Bills defense ranked 30 out of 32 against the opposing quarterbacks, or against the opposing running backs, giving up an average of 28.1 fantasy points. Now, Gibbs and Montgomery are both relatively close in price, and you can see that Gibbs is averaging 2 fantasy points per game more against them. DraftKings, Gibbs is going to get a little bit more just because he's going to take some passes here. But we look at this. The Bills defense have given up 5 rushing touchdowns to running backs, 579, or that's rushing or receiving touchdowns and 579 receiving yards to running backs. On the flip side, they've given up 9 touchdowns, 1,300 yards to opposing running backs on the ground, and 3 100-yard rushing games in this season. So, really just depends. I mean, they're very close in price. Gibbs or Montgomery. Monty can vulture some touchdowns, but Gibbs is that dude as well. So Goff and Gibbs make a ton of sense. Then it depends on where we're going to go with the wide receivers. Now, Amon-Ra St. Brown let a lot of people down. He has not had. It's been a while since he's had a big game. Okay? Indy, week 12, he had 12.2. Week 11 against Jacksonville is where he went off for 161. People are expecting 100-plus yard games out of them. It's just what they're expecting. So we're looking at this. Buffalo against the opposing wide receivers. They do rank 12th. They're getting up an average of 31.8 fantasy points. Will they double cover Amon-Ra St. Brown? I think they could. Are you going to pay down for Patrick? No. Are you going to pay down for Robinson? No. Kennedy, Alexander, Donovan, Peoples-Jones? No. Even if they're up, you are not paying down. So the only one that I would flip if I'm going to would be Jameson Williams, and we are taking a $2,000 pay cut to go with Williams in that situation. He had 13 fantasy points in the last game, 80 yards in that game as well, where he had 80 yards and 13. You see that he did a little bit better than St. Brown, who had 43 yards, 53 total if you count the rushing. So, you want to save money? Go with Jameson Williams. You want to still pay up? Go with Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god. The heavens will open, and he will rain down 2 touchdowns in this week. So our number 1 stack, Jared Goff. So let's reiterate what they are. Number 5, Bryce Young in Carolina. Number 4, Jaden Daniels. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. 2, Joe Burrow. 1, Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. Now, if you want to go runner-up stacks, runner-up people that maybe we like. The Bucs give up the most amount of fantasy points to the opposing quarterbacks. So we're looking at Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey. I'm okay with that one. Another one would be Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, because the Jaguars give up the second most amount of fantasy points at 22.4. A very cheap option if you are looking at the Jets here. And I don't know how many people are, but you could look at the Jets. You got Aaron Rodgers, 5,400. Pretty cheap. You got Devontae Adams at 69 that I would take. You also, Lazard is back. He has not played since... He played last week, only had 1 target, 1 reception. Don't really know about that one, but he was off for 7 weeks, hurt. So that is an option that you could look at. Tight end-wise, I'm probably not going Conklin. You might even be able to go, and Breece Hall, I believe, will play. Does have a great matchup here because Jacksonville, they are ranked 31 out of 32. So Breece Hall is in a fantastic spot there. So you could go at Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson. Maybe take Breece Hall out of there and just go the 2 pass catchers, both in great spots. Still 5,200 average there. Put the Ravens defense in there. Whatever direction you want to go. I don't mind that lineup either. Aaron Rodgers makes a ton of sense for me. I think a lot of people will be off of that, and that's kind of one that I'm going to go with. So those are your runner-ups. Looking at Aaron Rodgers, looking at Justin Herbert. Technically, against the opposing quarterback, Baltimore ranks 30th, giving up 22.3. It's Tommy DeVito. So basically, it'd only be Tommy DeVito, maybe Tyrone Tracy Jr., and Malik Neighbors. And they're going to be, they're going to be playing from behind, or in theory, they should be playing from behind because they are 16.5 point underdogs. Tommy DeVito might have to throw it up 57 times, but he might also end up with some interceptions. So that one does scare me as well. And then I'll do a final runner-up. I think we're looking at how bad the Bengals defense has been. Will Levis, but Will Levis has been pretty bad as well. This is my last chance with Will Levis. So I will look at Will Levis. He is he even on here? He is 5,000. Is he not starting? Okay. He did leave because of the injury, but now he's back. I mean, you could look at this one because I think he's underowned. He's 5,000. He'll be very cheap, able to stack around there, though as bad as Cincy's defense has been. But there is some rain in the forecast. So hopefully we don't see another Thursday night game. But you're looking at Will Levis, probably Calvin Ridley, maybe a little bit of Westbrook Ikine. Did let us down last week. You could look at that direction if you want to figure out what stack you're going to go with. And then in Kongwu, you could look at, really hasn't done much, though. Did have that one catch for 70 yards and one touchdown, but that's it. Like, he hasn't done much all year. So if you want to go sneaky, maybe one-off Will Levis, and if we can figure out what Tennessee players to go with, you can go in that direction too. So there you have it. We've got all the stacks for you. If you want to see even more, you want to see the matchup tool, you want to see the cheat sheet, you want to see the lineups, you want to see the projections, you want to see the chalk, the fantasy points per game allowed, the red zone stats, snap counts, volume report, projection, simulations. We've got it all for you. Make sure you check out FantasyTeamAdvisor.com. Make sure you follow this channel, subscribe, go like the other videos, go check out It's the History Of channel. Subscribe to that. Every 50 subscribers until we get to 500, we're going to give away a monthly pass. You could win every month if you are a subscriber to the channel. So that's what I've got in this video. Good luck in Week 15. Let's bring home some bacon. Peace!